Clara had just moved to the small town of Hollow Creek. It was quiet and peaceful, a stark contrast to her bustling city life. Clara craved peace. She craved solitude. Hollow Creek promised both. The townsfolk were friendly, but their smiles seemed strained. Their eyes held secrets, secrets they were unwilling to share. Clara settled into her quaint cottage at the edge of town. It was charming, with a rose garden and a porch swing, but something felt off. An uneasiness settled over Clara, a feeling that she was being watched. She shook off the feeling. It was just her unfamiliarity with the town, she told herself. The wind howled through the trees, its mournful cry echoing Clara's growing fear. The rain intensified, soaking through her clothes, chilling her to the bone. She shivered, pulling her thin jacket tighter around herself. Where was she? Panic welled up within her. She had to get out of this storm. She stumbled forward, the muddy path treacherous beneath her feet. Each flash of lightning illuminated the woods around her, casting grotesque shadows that danced and twisted in the fleeting light. Thunder roared, shaking the very ground beneath her. Clara jumped, her heart pounding in her chest. She had never felt so alone, so vulnerable. As darkness enveloped her once more, she thought she saw a faint light in the distance. Hope surged through her. Could it be a house? With renewed determination, Clara pushed forward, her eyes fixed on the flickering light that beckoned her through the storm. The closer she got, the brighter the light became. It was definitely a house, its silhouette stark against the stormy sky. Relief washed over Clara. She could get out of the rain, maybe even call for help. As she approached the house, she noticed its dilapidated state. The paint peeled from its walls and the windows were dark, like empty eyes staring out at her. The once grand structure now stood neglected and forlorn, shrouded in an eerie silence that was more unsettling than the raging storm. Clara hesitated for a moment, a sense of foreboding washing over her. But the rain continued to beat down relentlessly and she was cold and exhausted. She couldn't stay out in the storm all night. Taking a deep breath, Clara climbed the crumbling steps to the porch. Its wooden planks creaked ominously beneath her weight, as if warning her to turn back. But it was too late. She was already there. Clara knocked tentatively on the heavy oak door, its surface rough and cold beneath her touch. There was no answer. She tried the handle. To her surprise, it turned easily, the door creaking open as if inviting her inside. A musty smell, like old books and decaying wood, greeted her. The air inside was heavy and oppressive, thick with the weight of secrets long kept. Dust motes danced in the faint light filtering in from the single window, illuminating the faded grandeur of the house. Cobwebs draped the corners of the room, and furniture lay hidden beneath dust covers, their shapes barely discernible in the gloom. The house felt abandoned, forgotten by time and swallowed by the encroaching forest. Clara stepped cautiously inside, her footsteps echoing in the silence. She called out, her voice trembling slightly, "Hello, is anyone home?" Only silence answered her. A sudden gust of wind slammed the front door shut with a resounding boom, making Clara jump. She whirled around, her heart pounding in her chest. The sound seemed to reverberate through the house, lingering in the air long after the echo had faded. She tried the door, but it wouldn't budge. It was stuck, jammed tight, as if someone had bolted it from the other side. Panic welled up inside her, choking her like thick smoke. Clara took a deep breath, trying to calm her racing heart. It was probably just the wind, she told herself. The house was old, and the latch was probably rusty, but deep down, a primal fear gnawed at her. The feeling that she was not alone intensified, prickling at the back of her neck. It was as if the house itself were watching her, its unseen eyes following her every move. Clara decided to explore the house, hoping to find another way out. She wandered from room to room, each one as dusty and neglected as the last. The air grew colder, and the silence more profound, broken only by the sound of her own footsteps. As she passed by a darkened doorway, she caught a glimpse of movement out of the corner of her eye. A figure, tall and shadowy, seemed to flit across the hallway, disappearing into the darkness before she could get a clear look. Clara froze, her breath catching in her throat. Had she really seen something, or was her imagination playing tricks on her? She strained her ears, listening for any sound, but there was nothing but an eerie silence. Taking a shaky breath, Clara slowly approached the doorway, her heart pounding in her chest. She peered into the darkness, but she couldn't see anything. The figure, if there ever was one, had vanished. Clara entered the room cautiously. her hand trailing along the rough stone wall. The air was thick with dust, and a musty odour hung in the air, as if the room had been sealed shut for centuries. She fumbled for a light switch, but her fingers found only cold, bare walls. The single window was boarded shut, plunging the room into an absolute suffocating darkness. Suddenly, she heard a noise behind her, a door slamming shut, the sound sharp and clear in the silence. Clara whirled around, her heart leaping into her throat. Her blood ran cold. She was certain there was no one else in the house. She had checked every room, every nook and cranny, and yet someone or something had closed that door. Fear, raw and primal, surged through her, threatening to consume her. Clara ran towards the source of the sound, her breath catching in her throat. She flung open the door, her eyes widening in terror. The room was empty. There was no one there. The only furniture was a dusty old rocking chair, its wooden arms smooth and worn from years of use. But there was no one sitting in it. The rocking chair swayed gently back and forth, as if propelled by an unseen hand. Clara backed away slowly, her eyes darting around the room, searching for any sign of movement. She could feel a presence in the room with her, something cold and unseen that watched her with malicious intent. Panic surged through her, threatening to overwhelm her. She had to get out of this house, and she had to get out now.